afternoon, everybody. My name is Mitali Chakraborty. I am the Chief of Staff for our CEO and President, Brenda Darden Wilkerson at AnitaB.org. Thank you so much for joining us. I see the chat is blowing up. So either you are bored and looking for someone to talk to, or you're just really excited to be here. As you can see, the chat will be going all throughout our conversation. We have 3 of our amazing Anita B staff in there also in case you need to get some clarification. They will sign their replies with their initials, either DW, SR, or TG. Also, if you have specific questions for the panelists, please put that in the Q&A, not in the chat. And once we're ready for questions, I will go through those and I'll come back on the screen to know we're about to start a question with our panelists. If you're not following along on Twitter already, I please ask that you do. We're at AnitaB_ORG, and our hashtag for the day is #AnitaB. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our Senior Vice President of Business Development, my good friend, Robert Reed.
Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. We're thrilled to have you here. We see there's about 350 folks on the line, which is fantastic. We appreciate that we all have different backdrops, as you can see in this time of turmoil that we're going to talk about. People are in their homes, in their cars, in their wherever you are, we welcome you. So thank you again for joining us. This is the first in our ongoing series. It's our first one, frankly, but we're planning to launch these every Thursday. We thought the first of the series of webinars should be really talking about leadership during this time of turmoil. So we appreciate you joining us. I'm delighted to introduce our President and CEO at AnitaB.org, Brenda Wilkerson. Brenda's going to talk you through our panelists. And as Mitali had mentioned, we'll be back a little later to talk you through some of the questions and answers. So we encourage you to join, participate, and share your thoughts. Really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. So first of all, thanks to everyone who's joining us today. Really excited that you want to be part of this conversation. It's a really important conversation. I think you're going to be glad that you're here. I'm excited for the amazing panelists, the leaders in this movement, and we're going to be talking about some things that we think are really important. But obviously, the topic of the day, the impact, is of COVID-19. It has an impact on virtually every industry, and billions of people globally, many industries, are being impacted every single day. And an issue before us is if history has anything to do with it, and we believe it's an indicator of what we see is to come, we, especially women, are in for quite a bumpy ride. Crises such as Ebola, Zika, SARS, H1N1, they toll in our economy and our communities the world over, but in particular, each have a lasting impact on women, especially their ability to find, keep work and be fairly paid. So today, we're about 10 days into the pandemic, and so far, there's been very little media coverage of the impact of COVID-19 on women, especially women in tech. And we understand that companies are really busy working on how this is impacting them, but we've also not really heard a lot from them as well. So we know that women will likely face a harsher financial comeback than men. And so today we want to talk about some of the things that leaders at companies, leading women, are doing to address these issues. At AnitaB.org, we have a long history of connecting, inspiring, and guiding women in computing. And today, I'm calling on each of us to do our part, and I know that you are. Specifically, I'm calling on our partners who can to keep the diversity numbers on par so that when we come out of this crisis, we are as strong or stronger in terms of diversity as we've ever been, and we're on track. I also want to call to attention those that are most vulnerable during these times, such as students and summer internships. We'll talk more about that later. So now today, I am thrilled to be joined by 3 talented leaders who are helping to lead their companies during these uncertain times. Leaders, thank you so much for taking time to join with me today and speak to our community. I just want to mention who's on the line and then ask you to introduce yourself and tell us what you do for your company. So first we have Kim Holmes, who is Senior Principal, Technology and Diversity Partnerships for Discover. We have Mary Hamilton, who is the Managing Director, Technology Labs at Accenture. And we have, thank you, we want to see her. And we have Melissa Morganstein, VP of People and Communities, HR Business Partner Leader at Cisco. Welcome, ladies. So Kim, can you start, please? Can you give us a little bit of information about what you do for Discover?
So first of all, thank you for hosting this event. Really critical for us to continue to maintain community when we're all physically so distant. I am responsible for supporting our technology events. I currently sit in human resources and talent acquisition after a 20-year career in technology managing application development teams. I moved into my new role to continue to support the growth of women and other underserved populations in technology. And as part of my role, I manage our relationship with AnitaB.org.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, how about you, Mary?
Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me. I think this is just such an important conversation, and we've been thinking about this quite a bit at Accenture and with our clients. So within Accenture, I am a woman in technology. I have been with Accenture for 23 years, always in our technology practice, serving clients. Today, I lead our technology research and development across the Americas. So I'm really thinking about what are the next wave of emerging technologies that are coming, and critically today, how are we going to use those technologies to overcome some of the challenges we're facing?
Okay, thank you. And Melissa.
Hey everyone, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks to Anita B for hosting this session. I'm at Cisco. I have a business partner role with the engineering organization. Cisco is also a proud sponsor of Anita B. I lead our engagement on Grace Hopper on behalf of Cisco, and I also run our diversity experiments in our engineering organization. So this topic is very top of mind for us at Cisco, and I look forward to sharing more of what we're doing.
Absolutely, and let's get to it. So first of all, thank you to all of you for the important work that you do at your companies, and thank you for being the important leaders that we need you to be, especially in these times. So first, Kim, how are you? And how are things at Discover? I'd love to hear about some of the things that Discover is doing to support the greater good at this time.
Well, thanks for asking. I'm really happy to say that things at Discover, we're pretty much trying to get to BAU in the new environment, right? One of the things I'm really proud of is how we're leaning into our Discover values to guide the work we're doing. And at the top of our list of values is doing the right thing. And we're doing the right thing by ensuring that everyone has the ability to stay safe in the workplace. So we've been work from home like so many organizations, even before it was government mandated to be work from home, and that's for all employees. And so for as many employees as we can possibly make this happen for, they have the ability to work safely, either from home or using best practices for those that still have to remain in the office. That's allowing us to continue to maintain our US-based customer service and our normal operating hours, which we're really happy about, including having to deal with an earthquake that impacted our Salt Lake City-based operation last week. So add pandemic, new work from home guidelines for agents who normally don't work from home, and clean up after an earthquake, where our value of volunteerism came into play, where we had employees who weren't part of the facility staff or those normally charged with building maintenance come in to help make sure that we can continue to operate. So still holding the line, still working hard to make sure our customers get not only the service that they're used to, but by being able to send out those encouraging messages of how we can help provide for their financial stability with messages on our website for all of our products for our card customers, our bank customers, and our merchant partners about how Discover is able to help them in this really critical time.
Well, that sounds like a lot. And I'm sure everyone is really grateful that things are going along smoothly with all of that transition that you're putting into place. So thank you. So, Mary, please chime in first. How are you? And I'd love to hear what some of the biggest challenges are that you think we're seeing in the industry right now.
I'm doing well. I joke that my home is now set up as a hotel, a gym, an office, a classroom. So we got people running around. And I think it reflects the new normal. You know, I was working from home and a kid came in before. I used to kind of apologize, sorry. And now I think we're at the new norm. We welcome it, right? Come on in. You know, you need your astronaut suit unbuckled so you can go potty. You know, okay. no apologies, right? That's the way we work.
Right.
I think that's really important to embrace that human side that all of us are experiencing and use that to stay connected. But in terms of what we're seeing across the industry, I mean, I think first and foremost, you know, in terms of leadership and being resilient, you know, first we're seeing both across Accenture and our clients, one is making sure people are safe and supported. And I think that is foundation number one, and that's what everyone needs to focus on. But then next, you know, how do we support customers, clients' core needs? And how do we take care of that? And then third, you know, everyone needs to understand, how do you maintain business resiliency, business continuity? What is the business outlook and what does that look like? You know, and we're seeing, you know, I think some of the biggest challenges, they're pretty obvious, right? We're seeing challenges with supply chain, challenges with elastic, you know, being elastic in customer service. So as we're shifting all these core functions from, you know, for example, at Accenture, tens of thousands of our workforce that maintain critical functions for our clients, we had to move from our delivery centers to safe locations at home. And that meant gearing them up with laptops. That meant thinking about connectivity, infrastructure, what are the applications that they need, what are the business processes that we're going to serve behind that, and then what are those best practices for keeping them connected, you know, and keeping them safe, not just, you know, well from a health standpoint, but also from a mental and social standpoint. So we talk a lot about social distancing, and we keep saying, well, let's think about physical distancing or socializing you know, through a distance, and thinking about it in that new term. But we're doing a lot around, you know, making sure we're keeping an eye out for social isolation and maintaining that connection between people.
Yeah, that's great. It's a new normal, definitely, in a lot of different areas. So thank you. Okay, so Melissa, first of all, how are you? And then I want you to
I am doing.
You're doing?
I am doing well.
Good. Glad to know it. So many industries are facing issues with layoffs and hiring freezes right now. How do you think the tech sector will fare?
Yeah, so let me just let me just talk a little bit about what we're doing at Cisco first. We are on our second week of work from home. It is a different normal than we're used to. Our strategy at Cisco is really focused on three different pillars. Our first is we're focused on our employees, we're focused on our customers, and we're also focused on our communities. So I'll just talk briefly about what we're doing with our similar to what Kim had shared. We are also enabling our employees with wellness and mental health resources. We, in addition to continuing to pay our full-time employees, are continuing to pay our hourly and contract workers just to help them through this time of crisis. And I think what our employees have really valued is a weekly checkpoint that's hosted, it's an all hands, but hosted by our CEO and our CHRO to just touch base and answer employee questions around what are their concerns, what are their medical questions, and it's just a regular cadence for them to get as much information. As far as our customers, we're supporting them through business continuity. We're offering, I have to give a plug for Cisco WebEx, our collaboration platform. We are offering that for free right now, in addition to some of our other security technologies. And we're really staying close to not only hospitals, but healthcare in general and schools, and just making sure they have what they need. And then finally, our communities, giving back and social responsibility is a core element of our Cisco culture. And so just really making sure that we're staying close to our communities. This week, we announced we're committing $225 million to the relief of global and local COVID-19, and just making sure we're giving back in our own society. As far as layoffs and hiring freezes, I know every company across many different industries is talking about what their approach and their strategy is going to be. I think as far as tech and how this will fare for tech, you know, it's interesting. Technology is really enabling our ability to work remotely and work virtually right now. I think companies are really going to go through this period and think about, you know, what is the work that really must be done on site in person versus what can be done virtually. I think it's also forcing companies to look at what is the bandwidth capacity they have to do this work from home. Also, you know, looking in the future at their architecture and infrastructure. So, you know, more to come on how technology will fare, but it will be interesting to watch as we go through this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Would Kim or Mary, would you guys like to add to that at all?
I'd like to say that the great thing about this community is that we can now see, as if we had any doubts, the impact that we have as technologists on how the world runs, right? I feel more proud than ever to be a member of this sector. I may sit in HR, but I'm always going to be a technologist, right? And so seeing that we are allowing the world to continue to move forward, regardless of which sector of STEM that we operate from, whether or not it's engineering and the work that Melissa and her team is doing, or application development and some of the things that our partners at Accenture take on, doctors, nurses, frontline medical researchers, all part of the STEM family that are ensuring that we can continue to drive forward, that are the ones who are going to get us healthy, the ones that are going to keep the economy moving along. And so thank you to our sisters in STEM and all of our allies that support us. I think that's really important to recognize right now.
Yeah, and
I so agree. I so agree. And you, Mary?
I'll just throw in, you know, I think a lot of this is forcing us to think about the resiliency of our IT systems, right? How we think about infrastructure, how we think about architecture, how we think about those applications, and tools like collaboration tools. It's driving a new set of behaviors that's driving adoption. That I think, you know, obviously we're making large behavioral shifts today because of, you know, the imminent challenges that we're facing. But I think this will drive and shift behaviors, and there's nothing like a crisis to drive new innovation, right? And so I'm excited about the new ways we're thinking about technology in creative and innovative ways and how we apply them. That's actually in the long run going to benefit all of us.
Very true, very true. And I think what's exciting that I think we're all saying in another way is that, you know, we really have an opportunity now to see technology working for good and to innovate even further to make sure that it is serving the needs of peoplekind. So, and you know, like you, Kim, it's like once a technologist, always a technologist at heart, right? And so we'll always be thinking in terms of how we can use tech to do good things. So there's so many great things we could talk about. So one of the things I want to hear everybody respond to and contribute to is, what advice would you be giving individuals right now who are facing this new reality? You know, what are ways that we can help them think about being supportive of their communities at this time?
I'm happy to jump in. I think first and foremost, focus on yourself. Focus on self is so important. Focus on your family as well. I know many are helping their family members through this, but you know, we've all been given the gift of time, right? We're not commuting into the office. We're not traveling for business. So really being intentional with the time that you've been given back and what you plan to do with that. Focus on self, investing in yourself, learn something new. I know a lot of people at Cisco have been investing in learning new recipes or doing different exercise techniques, but I do think just taking that gift of time and really doing something meaningful with it and investing in yourself.
That's awesome.
I think one of the things I'd share is that it's important for us as leaders to lead with empathy and recognize that everyone is facing a little different set of hurdles. Both empathy and equity is really important right now, because everyone is going to need something different. And as leaders, we need to meet people where they are, be empathetic to their circumstance, and look to be equitable in terms of how we meet people's needs.
Yeah,
That's great.
and I think for me, I think about it in terms of empathy and even over listening, right? Making sure that we're looking out for everyone. It's not ourselves, our families, our communities, making sure we're looking out for that social isolation. And I do think that the crisis in many ways is exposing some of the disparities that already exist. So for example, kids that are now forced to do schoolwork from home, if they don't have connections, connectivity, right, that's putting them in a further disadvantage. So how do we make sure that we're recognizing those differences, that equity that you're talking about, and thinking about that carefully, but how do we reach out to the rest of our community, and how do we make sure that we're looking out for those who are disadvantaged or underprivileged, and how this is affecting them in even greater ways?
Yeah, I so agree. And I think it causes us to pause and think holistically about the needs of our communities. We were joking earlier about the meme that says that people have burned through their quarantine snacks. I mean, but there's the issue of people who don't have quarantine snacks, and women specifically, we normally are disproportionately involved in helping not only our families, but extended families and neighbors, right? And so what is the impact on them at this time as we go through a certain amount of uncertainty? So, but my next question would be around, what do you think companies can do to ensure that we continue to make progress on diversity, equity, and inclusion at this time, especially since many times that impacts women disproportionately? So I know it's a challenging time, but how can we ensure that we continue to make our cultures conducive to equity, not only maintaining, but perhaps increasing during this time?
I think it's really important to continue to lead from your corporate values. If diversity, equity, and inclusion were part of your value set before the pandemic, there's no reason for it to stop. And so I would say part of the answer is really simple. Continue to lean on the values that you used beforehand. You might have to look at the how may be different, but the what doesn't have to change, right?
True.
Right now, I think it's even more important that we focus on an unwavering commitment to providing our people with an empowering environment. And what that means, that means different things over different time periods, right? And that's always been a focus for Accenture. How do we create a culture of equality and empowerment? But right now, what that means is having empathy, and it means flexible work arrangements. It means recognizing that people have families, whether it's their children or elderly, that they're caring for, that they're worried about in this new time. And then how do we give resources to make environments safe? We've talked about, mentally, physically, socially stimulating, and how do we provide those things? And partnering up, we've partnered up with Stanford and Thrive Global to create a program called Thriving Mind to help people with their mental wellness as they're going through that. And I think, as you said, women are disproportionately affected by this. And I think it's really important that we bring those solutions to help them so that we are empowering women, but all of us to create that better environment.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I completely agree. And this is the time to double down, I feel like, on your diversity strategies and not take your foot off the pedal. I know during challenging times, we see learning and development programs decreased or the funding around those decreased. And I really think there are ways that we can really invest or continue to invest in, female development programs, female top talent programs. We should really be intentional around that. And I think, at the end of this, employees have choice around where they want to stay. And so how you treat your females through periods of like this, or your diverse talent, is just really critical for companies to think through.
Yeah, so true. And so I'd love to hear some examples of brands or other leaders that are really getting it right now, who you can see in their solutions that they're thinking about not taking their foot off the pedal, as someone said, at this time, which is so critical, right? We've already said that in the time of crisis is when many times new innovations are created, right? Because there's a shakeup in the way we think about things, and we have an opportunity to really make some changes here and create some new initiatives. So does anybody have anything that they'd like to share, anybody they'd like to lift up at this time as great examples of taking this opportunity to do some great things?
I do. I'll jump in. I'm actually very grateful for companies like Dyson and Philips that are doubling down and increasing production on ventilators. That gives me hope. I'm grateful for companies like Zoom that are really focused on enabling consumers as far as just connecting virtually. And then also I'm very appreciative of my increased streaming with Netflix. I've very much increased my usage of Netflix over the last couple of weeks. I hear they're actually reducing bandwidth in Europe in order to increase bandwidth in other areas of the world. But yeah, that's actually been beneficial for me.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple more examples out there. Technology example, Carbon, right? They do 3D printing, additive manufacturing, and they're thinking about ways that they can, help with creating, additional products and or supplies and parts for, ventilators, right? Critical medical devices that we need. And how do we think about if we can't build more, how do we ensure the ones that we have are staying in service, right? And are being maintained. And then, I think all the companies on the front line, right? Whether it's healthcare, our local grocers, right? I mean, they're just being inundated from the supply chain and just restocking and also having that frontline contact with the public. I think just what they're doing is tremendous. And, every day they're out there making sure we all have what we need from an essential standpoint is just an amazing thing that I wanted to call out.
Well, on a personal note, I'd like to shout out those that are stepping into the breach to increase their capacity to serve. And those are the folks in our nonprofit community, because they're the ones who are going to take one of the largest hits as we go through this. So personally, I happen to be associated with the Northern Illinois Food Bank, for those of you in the Chicagoland area. And they serve 13 counties and right out, very rural to very urban. And the need has never been greater than now. And the things they're being asked to do are just incredible to make sure not only that they continue to meet the needs that they already had, but to kind of double down on continuing to serve, because we rely on our schools to do so much for our children. There are kids who won't get 2 meals a day while schools are out. And so watching our food banks kind of step into the breach and deliver new, not only food, but deliver new models for how they service their clients has been really interesting to watch. And I think that, as Mary brought up earlier, this is the time when you see innovation. And so watching how nonprofits are innovating in this time to be able to continue to deliver services to a growing number is really interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so encouraging to see how people are coming together, making sure that their neighbors are taken care of, organizations who are making sure that the elderly are fed, things that, we think about, but maybe are getting much more attention now. And much of it is fueled by technology. Again, technology for good, right? So with the world pretty much stalled, we're all in our homes. Kids are running around. I've told mine that the kids just stay over there while mommy does this. What do you think that, how do you feel that we could encourage women technologists to kind of take the lead right now in terms of solving problems or what they could do specifically during this time? We all often have great ideas and they're like on the back burner because we're serving and participating in what's in front of us. But do you have any encouragement for women technologists who might be listening right now?
Part of what I would share is that now is the time, as you understand what we have greater insights into kind of the back office functions of how our companies operate, right? We're going to get to see things that we didn't normally see when everyone could be in the office and in their individual functions. We're now a little more fluid in terms of how we're working. And so you may have insights into things that perhaps you didn't see before. So now's the time to be curious. Now's the time to kind of dig in and understand how you can apply your secret sauce to what the company does. Are there new process innovations you can bring to the table? Are there new ways to leverage technology that perhaps there are some efficiencies that we could gain as we continue to lean into remote work that you didn't see before? And I think it's often the folks who aren't entrenched in the day-to-day who bring some of the freshest solutions because they're seeing things with new eyes. And as more junior or folks who aren't as senior in their roles, now's the time for the newbies to come in and say, why are you doing it that way? Did you know that you could do it this way? Or here's a tool perhaps you could leverage to make this be a little more efficient or effective, particularly as we start to define what our new normal looks like.
I'll try. You know, I think when we think about the technologies, and obviously I'm a futurist and I'm trying to think ahead, you know, as I said, I think what we're going through today will create a lot of behavioral changes, a lot of opportunities for new innovation and applying technologies in new ways. And I think the challenge I would put out there is to think about those changes, you know, and how we're applying things in a new way to not just be for this time period, you know, not for the immediate short term. I think it's important for the immediate short term that's driving it, but let's think about how those things that we're applying and the challenges that we're trying to solve aren't going to be stale, you know, in 6 months from now, but how we're really creating an effective change in the long run and in the long term. So as you're thinking about technology solutions, don't think about them for today, but think about how that change will actually be sustainable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is just to pay attention to the technology trends. I think that'll help guide you as far as, you know, where are the investments and where is the technology going, and then you can backtrack that into the skills that you need.
So true, and great advice, great advice. And so one question I want to make sure that we share out with folks today is, as leaders who are meeting this challenge, you stepped up, you've shared some really great things. Are there recommendations that you would make to other leaders at this time as to, you know, giving them some advice? We're 10 days into the pandemic. What can you share from your great wisdom from our 10 days and suggestions about how they deal with COVID-19 and its impact on their businesses?
Transparency and communication. I think one of the things that's been really, really impactful at Discover is that every evening, kind of at the end of what a normal workday would be, we get a note from the CEO who shares with us how the day has gone, what are some of the things he's thinking about, what are some of the things that other leaders are working on. It could be internal thanks for the work that the team is doing. It could be conversations he's had with the investment community. It could be basically some of the things we talk about in our quarterly town halls. You get a little snippet of that every night with this is what's doing, thank you for all you're doing, and just that transparency and that ongoing communication, that empathetic response to what folks are going through has been really heartening to me as someone who's been with the company for a long time. And in feeling, in talking with more junior staff members, we're also hearing it from our customers that they're appreciating that we're doing. And so having that feedback loop has been really important and inspiring.
That's awesome. That sounds great. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, I'll throw in there, you know, when we think about resiliency, you know, there is no playbook for what we're going through today, right? But when we're thinking about the resiliency, we think about it on 3 levels. First is the physical level, right? And ensuring that people feel empowered to be safe. And that has been, you know, I would say, number one message, you know, that transparency, that communication, and make sure people understand that they are empowered to be safe. Second is mental needs, making sure the mental needs are addressed. Permission to work differently, right? And it ties back to, what we were saying about flexible work arrangements, permission to have your kids come in and dogs being with you and those kind of things. Making sure that you are communicating in a transparent and a consistent way early and often so that employees have the ability to respond and to be resilient themselves. And then I think the third piece of it is really around relational needs and making sure that people have the right relationships, they feel connected to community, they have belonging, they understand the bigger mission and purpose, even as we're going through these times, and that you're giving them the opportunity to co-create this new reality together, right? Giving them the tools and opportunity to do that.
Awesome.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, panelists. It's Mitali. I'm back, and I'm here to ask some questions from the crowd, all 503 of you, live from my Chattanooga, Tennessee bathroom office. So first of all, a couple of times, people really want to know where you're located. So if you're willing to share where you are. And the first question we wanted to throw out there is, what advice would you give actual non-tech folks out there right now to do to prepare for when this is over? Any tools or resources out there that your company provides or that you could recommend?
Well, one of the things I'll talk about is that given the rapid change in the workplace, technology, how folks conduct work, we've now recently opened up Udemy for Business and are letting folks go out and self-service their learning opportunities. The same way they're doing it on their own time, we're now providing that ability for employees to have access to those resources from a corporate perspective so they can dig in and learn new skills.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one too. I'm in Chicago, in my home office, in my home. So I think this is a great opportunity for folks who self-describe themselves as not technical to dig in and do some technical learning, right? There are a lot of free tools that I've seen come across the internet to say, learn coding or learn something that is more technical, because obviously the impact of tech looms large on our lives already. And I think we've had sort of like this crash course in how important it is in order for us to stay connected. So I would say, take advantage of every opportunity and don't worry about trying to learn everything. Pace yourself. It's sort of like learning a language. Spend a little bit of time each day or a couple times a week, and you'll find that this extra time that you don't have, if you're not commuting as well, is a good investment in that sort of thing.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Mary. Mary actually mentioned a wellness program, but this question is actually for you, Melissa. What other ways is Cisco pulling in the workforce to prevent social isolation? You mentioned a weekly all hands. Any other things that you've come up with or are doing right now to support folks?
Yeah, so we are recommending just very frequent check-ins, either between team members or managers and direct reports, just regular check-ins, touch base, acknowledge that it's okay to not be okay. And we have brought in medical professionals to really talk about mental health and wellness and really like focusing on yourself during this period of time and what you need, being very clear about what you as an individual need in order to kind of work through all of this. We're very realistic in that, we may not be going back to work anytime soon and that this is a journey. And so just making sure people are comfortable and not feeling like they have to be tied to their laptop 8 to 5. There's no more 8 to 5 regular schedule. And so it's just, it's a very different normal, like I said before.
Amazing, thank you. Kim, this is for you. How to keep one professionally motivated at this time with all that's going on?
Wow. I think this is where, as Melissa pointed out, this is where you have to take care of yourself and really focus on what your goals are. It's easy to get caught up in watching reruns of Property Brothers. I know, been there, guilty of taking some Property Brothers breaks while we're off. but I think it's really important that we continue to try and keep our eyes on the prize and realize that this isn't going to be, while the way we work may change, our professional development and our desire to move our careers ahead won't during this time. And so I would say staying focused, pick a goal. It can be big G goal, it could be a little G goal. Pick something that you're going to be focused on and work through. Right now, I'm working on start with why. And so before I decided I was not going to spend a ton of money and time on Amazon because I'm not looking to be broke when this is all over, I bought Start With Why and the workbook. And so every day I'm doing a chapter in the workbook, doing a chapter through the novel itself, and hope to, at the end of this, be better able to, with clarity, state my why and understand how I will apply it in the workplace.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Hey, can I quickly jump in on this one as well? By the way, I'm in the Bay Area, in the East Bay specifically, but I think people really want to connect right now. As we talked about earlier, this is such an isolating time. So to really leverage the power of networking, there's a great book that I'm sure many of you have heard of that my mentee recommended to me called The Memo by Minda Harts. She really talks about the power of,
Yes.
I know, it's amazing. And she talks about the power of networking, and even for those of you that are introverted, like how you can do simple things to make connections that over time really pay off. People want to connect, and I think we should leverage this time to make those connections.
Yeah, and I'll throw in there, we all have, many of us have commute times that we all have. Block those times instead of commuting now. Use that for self-development, for networking. Don't let it get eaten up with, or for family time, right? How often do I get to be home, for dinner or for lunch? Block out those times.
Awesome. That's a good segue into the next question, Mary. Linda Pennington asked, it hit her this week that all self-care is out the window. Mani-pedi time, going to a show, going to a restaurant. Mary mentioned blocking off time during commute. Have all of you in these few weeks been able to do anything for self-care or trying to, that you could recommend to everybody? Reading and so on, Netflixing. What else are you doing?
I would say reading. One thing that I've really enjoyed is at lunchtime, I try to block off a half an hour, and my 5-year-old son comes upstairs and said, "Mom, can you join us for lunch?" He comes up every day. He's got a little placemat set for me. And it, like, he actually is caring for me. He's, "Mom, what do you want for lunch? I'll make it for you." And, has to be 5-year-old appropriate to make, but like, that's been something really special for me that I get to do that. When will I ever get to do that again? When he's this.
Yeah, same here. My college age kids are home, and all of the kids play chess, and I'm not that good at it. And they play poker, and so I actually acquiesced to, put my computer aside for a while and learn to play poker. It was kind of interesting too. So really taking that opportunity to just do something social and learn a new game. There's a lot of things that we can learn about our personalities from some of the games we play if we take the time to do them. And that self-introspection while you're doing something new, sort of giving yourself a chance to do that thing and not do it perfectly and go, okay, that was all right, but I now have a different experience. I think especially for, sort of like brainiac tech women, many times we're focused on what we can do right and do our best at. And I think it's been a great opportunity to just kind of step aside, even if it's for 10 minutes, and try something new and be forgiving if you just don't get it at all.
I'm learning the ukulele too.
Amazing. So our next chat will be a performance by Mary on the ukulele. Fantastic.
Forgiving that I might not be good though.
Not only do we have some aspiring technologists on the call, we have a lot of students too. And a couple questions came in, one from Magna asking, what can students during this time of uncertainty do to improve themselves, to prepare and become job ready? Any advice or tools out there that you could recommend?
Well, I think that's a great question, right? And I think some of the same tools that we're recommending to other people to learn a language that you hadn't, had in your curriculum before, step aside and learn a different language, do some personal development. And maybe if you know that you're shooting towards leadership, there are some great free leadership classes out there. It's a time to study some things that make you well-rounded. The fact of the matter is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, the best technologist is the one that understands the people that their technology is going to serve. And so it's not just about, being a nerd. That's an affectionate term. I call myself a nerd. It's also about being able to work with people and be able to understand their needs. So, take this opportunity to study some things that maybe you hadn't had time to study before. Maybe it's ethics, an ethics short course, or some of those things that you're going to really be able to bring to the table when you go after that technical opportunity that's not just about your technical skills.
Yeah, I would piggyback on what Brenda said and say, this is the time to study the industries that you might be looking to engage with, so that when your opportunity comes up, you will know something about that industry, how the technical skills you're looking to deploy actually fit into that industry. How has that industry been affected by what we see now? What is your secret sauce that you're going to bring to help them as they move through this time to continue to post results in the future? So now's the time to really learn new technology, learn more about the business, and figure out how you're going to weave that into your elevator pitch. It's now time to go deep, as well as perhaps learn some new things. Really polish up the things that you've been doing.
And I would also say it's
just to quickly. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mary.
I was also going to say, it's also an opportunity to follow your passion. There's so much available online. I think we all kind of froze up because there's so much, right? And it's almost overwhelming. But with your traditional courses and ways of studying, right, you're kind of being told what to learn. I would use this opportunity to explore a little bit. There's so much available. Explore, find something that you're passionate and go deep in that. And that might also help guide you in where you want to go, right? And how you want to apply the technology. There's so many different ways to apply things. It might help guide your thinking about where you'll be most successful because you're passionate.
Yep. Yeah, and I was just going to add to what Kim was saying around study the industry. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from scouting LinkedIn to find people in the industry that you want to learn more about. Reach out to them, ask them to sponsor you, ask them to mentor you. People are looking to give back at this time. And so I think, try to see if you can get mentors and sponsors to help you.
Amazing. I think I read something the other day. This is the perfect time to fire off that cold email. People might actually respond to you, right? It's a great time to reach out. Some of you mentioned, Mary, Brenda, you've mentioned kids at home and so on. Things that you could share that your company has done to make time for working parents and how you've adjusted, or any special programs you put in place at your organizations. A lot of people have mentioned, the moms and single women, but we also want to acknowledge the dads and so on. So what have you been able to do to help folks with kids at home?
Yeah, I can jump in here. So I think it starts with setting a tone at the top. We were in our weekly all hands with our CEO yesterday, and he invited his granddaughter in. And so just acknowledging that it's okay to have people come in and out of your meetings, or if someone's walking behind you on camera, just basically acknowledging like we're in a different place and there's flexibility in all of that. I've also had several leaders just do kind of meet and greets with family members, or do virtual kind of happy hours on come meet the family and come learn about what we do, what our technology enables.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Things like, we've done informally a coffee chat, and it's bring everybody, right? Bring your family members, bring your dogs, bring your life. And I think at the end, and even with my clients, right, where I normally have a little bit more formal relationship, I think we're all learning a lot about each other and creating a better human connection by exposing these moments. But then I think there are also formal things that we're doing We have a parents group that's sort of a grassroots, here's what us parents really need and want in the company and organization, kind of, doing surveys and reaching out and saying, hey, what would be helpful? And so things like, our Bright Horizon Care, we've actually, doubled the hours available for that, or providing crisis mode, right? So if you have to find your own alternative care, how do we support that? Creating internal portals, we can all come together in a casual, informal way and to get to know each other, create that human connection. So I think from the very formal programs to think about how we help, but also the grassroots of, maintaining that individual connection are really important.
Amazing. And I'm going to tee up probably the last question, and we'll then have Brenda say a few words, and then Brenda, just so you know, Robert will actually come back and close us out. But Melissa, Mary, Kim, Brenda, also just so amazing to have 4 women on this panel. So a round of applause for all of you. But we've had quite a few questions around folks worried about, what we call the pipeline and the pathway, about women getting into tech, and a lot of concern we've heard about, those that were just getting started for internships and apprenticeship programs. Anything that you can say that maybe your company's doing, or ways that Anita B is supporting? Would love to learn more about that, so we don't move the needle backward, right? That we continue to move forward even during these pandemic times. So it's the last you'll see of me, but thank you so much, everybody, and I'll turn it over to you all.
Yeah, so I'm happy to jump in on this one. So this has been, I apologize. I'll just say Cisco has talked a lot about our internship program. It's top of mind for our hiring managers as well as our leadership team. We have heard overwhelmingly from our students that they want to continue to have this experience. So as of now, we're continuing with our interns globally. What we're working on now is just making sure to understand what that experience looks like. What are they going to need to be successful virtually? How do we coach managers to manage interns in this new virtual environment? And so just thinking through what it looks like as a work from home.
I would say that just like Cisco, Discover is doing the same thing. We are committed to our interns. Nothing changes there except for how we deliver that intern experience, right? We made a commitment. We're standing by that commitment, and our campus teams are working through what does that look like, because normally we bring all of our interns to our headquarters, we house them together, that type of thing. Might not make sense to do that in these times, and so we're working through what that looks like, but we want to maintain our maintain that connection and honor our commitments.
Yeah, and it's so very important at this time, right, to think about how to not disturb the critical pipeline that we've been working on the last few years to build, that are filled with diversity more than we've had in the past. And one of the things that we like to do at AnitaB.org, first of all, share that we are ramping up, had already planned and had in process, but are looking to increase our apprenticeship program that we're building that will help people who we like to call aspiring technologists. And, there's a lot of different types of aspiring technologists. Those even include people who already are in careers, maybe they've been in careers 5-10 years, and they want to, come over to tech. Everywhere I go, I have people walk up to me and say, I'm in marketing, I'm in sales, I'm in this whatever thing that they were in love with first, and now they want to get into tech. And, just as we said earlier, that deep knowledge of those areas will make them doubly useful and excited and dedicated in tech. Because they will then just need to learn the tech and apply it to all the needs they already understand, right? So that's what our apprenticeship program is looking to do, is to help people who want to transition in, as well as folks who are brand new to come in. And so what we like to do at AnitaB.org is help our partners, our sponsors, any company that we work with, to think about how to do the things that they're doing, especially in challenging times like this, right? So if you had an internship program planned and you're thinking about, how do I balance with all these challenges, we'd love to help you think about some ways that you could continue to create that amazing tech workforce that we know you're going to need. We're going to need those diverse folks coming into the tech workforce even more and more as time goes on. And so we know that this is a challenging time where the decisions are going to be hard, but we just want to reach out and say, please let us help you think this through and think of some options. I'm really excited to hear about those opportunities that might go virtual or, again, it's a time of innovation, thinking about different ways of doing things. Look how rapidly we were able to take a workforce that was at the office and get it at home, right? And it happened much faster than if things had been normal. So that just shows us that, you know, if we work together, we can be creative and come up with some amazing solutions. So I'm excited for everybody to work together on all the things that we're going to get that are going to be better out of this very challenging situation. So let me just close by saying, you know, I'm sad that we're out of time. This has been an amazing time. I'm so grateful to you, Kim, Melissa, and Mary. Thank you so much. I'm just so proud to be amongst strong leaders who just happen to be women, leaders in the tech industry. And thank you for all that you are doing and are going to continue to do and how you've inspired me and everybody on the line today. I just want to share with everyone that we are committed to keeping this conversation going during this period of uncertainty and afterwards. We're making new friends, basically, and we'll love this platform. As such, we'd like to invite you to our next conversation, which is next Thursday, April 2nd at 12 p.m., during which time we're going to focus on just what we were just talking about, which were internships and apprenticeships with leaders who are working on the same. And so that's next Thursday, April 2, 12 p.m. Pacific time, and whatever time it is, wherever you are, all over the world. And more details to follow on our social media channels, newsletters, and at AnitaB.org. So once again, thank you to our panelists. Hang in there. Keep doing the great stuff you're doing. And everybody on the line as well, please stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda. I'm just
you.
coming back in here at the end to wrap it up. No worries. Just wanted to say thank you. Please, we also have a survey for anyone interested. We're in the midst of finalizing an important survey about how to measure and quantify the impact of COVID-19. It's for men, women, technical, non-technical folks. So we look forward to hopefully hearing from you. That's been in the chat. And lastly, obviously, as a nonprofit facing times of uncertainty, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you to go to AnitaB.org website and look at our donation page and see if there's something that you can help with to continue our mission alive. Really, thank you for your support. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday, where we talk about internships and apprenticeships. Thanks very much. Have a good afternoon and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye now.
Everyone.
Okay.